Well, we're getting closer and closer and closer to PFA Bowl 1 between the Omaha Thunder and the Chicago 71ers. Whoever wins will be the first ever PFA champions. Now, as we get closer to the game happening, this is going to be a preview video of PFA Bowl 1. So what is this video going to be about? Well, I explained it in the 2016 Century Conference game. It's going to be how the teams got here, their strengths and all that shit, their weaknesses, and then my predictions. And I'm also going to give the odds of the game, which I do for every single game in PFA. Now, the odds are already on my blog if you want to check that out, but it will be mentioned later today, the odds of who's going to win. So to get this video started, let's talk about the National Conference champion, Omaha Thunder. So here's the Omaha Thunder schedule this year. First, they absolutely destroyed the Cincinnati Colts 38-10. And then the next week, they dominated the Louisville Saints 38-13. And then they went up to the Seattle Quakes and struggled against them, but they still won 24-21. Then on Monday night, they hosted the Honolulu Phantoms, and they destroyed them 29-3. And then they hosted the Kansas City Hammerheads, and they won 24-13. Then after their bye, they won two very close games that went back and forth against the Denver Miners, first hosting them, where they won 34-27, and then they were at them, which they won 31-24. And then they played two straight games against their division rival, Indianapolis Express, won in both of them 26-13 and then 23-10. And at this point now, they're 9-0, halfway through the season, undefeated still. And then they beat Tampa's Tropics 31-17 in a hard-fought game, surprisingly, because remember, Tampa was still winless at this point. Then Omaha struggled against the visiting Milwaukee Lakers, and they were actually down until I think it was 37 seconds left, where they finally scored a game-time touchdown, and they finally won in overtime. Then after their bye, they destroyed, again, the Honolulu Phantoms, this time in Honolulu. And then they destroyed the Tampa Tropics again at home. Then they beat the Boston Destroyers 17-13. They're now 14-0. They clinched a playoff spot, and they clinched the National Central. But then all they needed to do was win just one more game, and they clinched first round bye and maybe home field advantage. Then they went onto a tailspin. They finally suffered their first loss, losing at New Orleans Jazz 27-14. Then they got destroyed at the Boston Destroyers 35-10. And then they got destroyed again by the Milwaukee Lakers, who won their first game in weeks 31-9. And then their final game of the year at the Louisville Saints, they were down 14-12, I believe it was. At one point, all of a sudden, they surged back to win 32-15 to clinch a 15-3 record, which is their best season in their history and the best season in PFA history. And then with the bye, they hosted the fourth-seeded Los Angeles Angels in a wild back-and-forth game that Omaha won 34-31 on a massive comeback they had to do. And then 2 weeks ago, they beat the number 2-seeded Washington Americans 17-0 in a defensive shootout. Okay, so here's a breakdown of the stats for the Omaha Thunder. First on offense, they had the number 1 scoring offense in the league. It's the best offense so far in PFA history. They scored 480 points, which by NFL standards is very good, but I don't know, the Panthers last year got 501 points. So it's definitely up there, but it's nowhere near the best still. But hey, anything can happen next year. But they are 4th best in yards gained, I mean. However, their big weakness on offense, as you can see, they are 19th in rush yards. Ooh, that's in the top half, but almost near middle of the road. That's not really good. But that pass yards, they are the 3rd best passing offense in the league. And their offensive line, though, ooh, that's another big worry, as they allowed they have the 18th least sacks in the league. So they're almost middle of the road again in terms of having their quarterback getting pressured. So that's not really good. So as you can see, they can get a whole lot of points, a whole lot of yards, especially passing yards, but their offensive line and their rushing offense, mediocre. But then you get to defense. They have the 9th best score, defense in terms of points allowed. So that's pretty good. They are the 6th best defense in yards allowed. That's very good. However, just like their rushing offense is not really good, their rush defense is a little better, but just 14th best. So that needs a lot of work on. Their passing defense, however, is the 8th best. That's pretty damn good. However, there's one big problem too with this defense. Sacks and interceptions. They are 21st. They're in the bottom half of the league in sacks, and they have 15th in interceptions. So they're in the middle of the road again, pretty much in terms of interceptions. So they allow not many points. They don't allow a lot of yards, especially in passing yards, but they do allow a good amount of rushing yards, and they don't get a lot of interceptions, and they don't get a lot of sacks. So that's the breakdown for Omaha Thunder going into the game. Now let's go talk about the Century Conference champion Chicago 71ers. So now we go over to the Chicago 71ers schedule. They first start off at the Denver Miners, where they won 27-6 in a dominant performance. Then they made their home debut where they beat the Las Vegas Gamblers 30-13. An incredible defensive performance again, especially since Las Vegas, I think, was the second best team going to the league. And then they went to Kansas City Hammerheads, where they won 24-16. Then they beat the Jacksonville Bucks 31-21. Then a very, very big Monday night game when they hosted their eventual arch rival Minneapolis Kitsney. They won in overtime 23-20. That was a sick performance. That game went back and forth in terms of scoring. Then after that, they had 2 straight bye weeks. And then they stayed home to host the Oklahoma Oilers, where they won 31-26. Then they went to Detroit to play the Detroit Engines, where they won 35-13. Then they went to the Houston Twisters, where they won 21-6. Then they went to the Columbus Barons, where they won 27-7. So now they're 9-0 and have a good lead over everyone in the Century Central, but still fighting it out for a number 1 spot in the Century Conference playoffs. However, then they hit a low point where they lost. They finally got their first loss at the Las Vegas Gamblers 20-13, and then they suffered a hard-fought battle at the Minneapolis Kitsney 24-22 when Minneapolis was up 21-3, I believe, at one point. But after that, they recovered a little bit. They beat the Detroit Engines again 30-22. They then dominated Kansas City Hammerheads 22-9. But then they lost an incredible game Sunday night at the Cleveland Bulldogs 28-16. They could not stop their quarterback Scott Henderson at all in that game. Then they went down to the Oklahoma Oilers, and they won in overtime 30-24. That was a sick finish. Then they stayed home to host the Columbus Barons, where they won 27-16. At this point, they won a playoff spot. I think they won the Century Central by now. And then they beat the Portland Dragons 19-16, which officially secured them first round bye. But they needed to win against the hosting Houston Twisters to get home field advantage. However, they would lose, I believe, in overtime 30-24. But thankfully for them, Pittsburgh blew it, so they still got home field advantage. Then after their bye, they hosted the 5th-seeded Baltimore Charm, who led, I think it was 13-3 at one point, I believe. However, Chicago fought back very hard on defense and managed to win 20-13. And then after that, in the Century Conference Championship, they hosted the number 2 seeded Pittsburgh Blitz, who they had a massive defensive performance against them, and they managed to win 21-16 to make it here to PFA Bowl 1. However, remember, they lost their starting quarterback, Matthew Smart, for the rest of the season, so his backup is going to have a lot of shoes to fill in for this game coming up. Okay, now here's the Chicago 71ers stats. First on offense, they are 5th most points in the league, so they're getting a lot of points. That's pretty fucking good. And yards, they have their 11th best in terms of yards gotten. So that's pretty good, but not as good as the Omaha Thunder. Oh my god. Rushing yards, however, they're 13th. That's not looking good. Just like Omaha Thunder did not do good here. Pass yards, however, they're 15th. Oh, that's not really good here. However, this is where it's disastrous. They allowed the 8th most sacks in the season. their quarterback is getting sacked over and over and over again. Gee, no, I wonder why Matthew Smart got knocked out for the rest of the season. I'm really curious. So they get a lot of points. They get a good amount of yards, but other than that, not really. Oh, just okay. And then sacks a lot. Oh, that's terrible. But then you get to defense. They allow the 8th most points, the least points. I'm getting fucked up. That's pretty good. They are the 9th best defense in yards allowed. Again, good. It's okay, but Omaha's slightly better. So, but however, their rush defense. Oh my God, 30th. That's the 10th worst. Jeez, even Omaha's pretty not good on rush defense. Isn't this bad? However, their passing defense. 7th best. That's very good, especially since they got to go up against Omaha, who has that incredible passing offense. That's going to be really hard to beat. They get the 7th most sacks in the league. Holy shit. They succeed at something that Omaha wishes they could succeed at. However, they're 23rd in interceptions. So they're in the bottom half of the league in interceptions, which at least Omaha was slightly better at. So their defense, they're good at they're good not allowing points. They're good at allowing yards. They're good at stopping the pass. They're good at getting sacks. They're not good at interceptions, and they're most certainly terrible at rush defense. So, what will happen for the game? Well, first, it's going to be, I say, the most important matchup. Omaha's offense against Chicago's defense. Now, when it comes to their Omaha's run offense against Chicago's rush defense, that could go either way. But I think Omaha would have the edge there, since Chicago's rush defense is so terrible. But then you get to the main showdown. Omaha's pass offense against their Chicago's pass defense. Oh my God, that can go either way in this game. Omaha can look good sometimes, and Chicago's defense could look good all of a sudden. So, it can go either way, but then again, another thing is the major weakness for Omaha against Chicago's defense is those sacks. If Chicago can get enough pressure on Archie Marvin, maybe enough to knock him out of the game, woo boy, I think Chicago could have a shot to win despite not having their quarterback. But overall, I think Omaha has the edge here on this battle. Now you flip it to Omaha's defense against Chicago's offense. Chicago's main weakness is going to be their offensive line that allowed so much sacks. However, Omaha is also not good at getting a lot of sacks, so that could maybe cover it. However, their starting quarterback for this game did not really do so good. He'd thrown 2 interceptions already, and Omaha, although not good at causing interceptions, they're at least slightly better than Chicago, so that could be a major problem. And likewise against Omaha and Chicago, Chicago's 7th best defense is going to have to face Omaha's 7th best pass defense, so that's going to be incredible. However, their Russian offense is going to be quite even since Chicago's rush offense and Omaha's rush defense is pretty even. So, wow, I'm not exactly sure who would have the edge here. It can go probably either way, which overall would mean Omaha would probably have a slight favorite in terms of this matchup. However, in terms of the score, I honestly say if Chicago was at full strength, because they don't have Matthew Smart, their starting quarterback, and they don't have their best linebacker in the league, who's still doubtful because he missed over half the season with a broken skull. So Chicago's deeply back in terms of injuries. That's going to really hurt them for this game. So as for the score, if the Chicago 71ers were full health, I think they might have actually been able to pull off the victory, maybe like 21-20 or something like that. However, since they're weak on injuries and their backups are not looking too good, I'm going to say Omaha will win this 24-6. And most of those points will come off of Omaha, Chicago's offense causing interceptions. Because I think Chicago's defense can hold Omaha down, but Chicago's offense will hurt them big time in this game. However, in terms of the actual odds for this game, Omaha is favored by 2, which after calculations come out with a 55.9% chance Omaha wins. So Omaha has a 55.9% chance of winning PFA Bowl 1, which is quite shocking because Omaha is so weak, yet it's only a almost 56% chance of winning? Wow. I guess Chicago might do just good enough to manage to pull off the victory, but I guess we'll see. So be on the lookout for PFA Bowl 1 coming soon. Who will win the first ever PFA championship? Will it be the National Conference Championship Omaha Thunder, or will it be the Century Conference Championship Chicago 71ers?